The Essentials of Prayer by E.M. Bounds, Chapter 5, Prayer and Trouble. Trouble and prayer are closely related to each other. Prayer is of great value to trouble. Trouble often drives men to God in prayer, while prayer is but the voice of men in trouble. There is great value in prayer in the time of trouble. Prayer often delivers out of trouble, and still oftener gives strength to bear trouble, ministers comfort in trouble, and begets patience in the midst of trouble. Wise is he in the day of trouble who knows his true source of strength and who fails not to pray. Trouble belongs to the present state of man on earth. Man that is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble. Trouble is common to man. There is no exception in any age or clime or station. Rich and poor alike, the learned and the ignorant, one and all are partakers of this sad and painful inheritance of the fall of man. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. The day of trouble dawns on each one at some time in his life. The evil days come and the years draw nigh, when the heart feels its heavy pressure. That is an entirely false view of life and shows supreme ignorance that expects nothing but sunshine and looks only for ease, pleasure, and flowers. It is this case who are so sadly disappointed and surprised when trouble breaks into their lives. These are the ones who know not God, who know nothing of his disciplinary dealings with his people, and who are prayerless. What an infinite variety there is in the troubles of life. How diversified the experiences of men in the school of trouble. No two people have the same troubles under like environments. God deals with no two of his children in the same way. As God varies his treatment of his children, so trouble is varied. God does not repeat himself. He does not run in a rut. He has not one pattern for every child. Each trouble is proportioned to each child. Each one is dealt with according to his own peculiar case. Trouble is God's servant, doing his will unless he is defeated in the execution of that will. Trouble is under the control of Almighty God and is one of the most efficient agents in fulfilling his purposes and in perfecting his saints. God's hand is in every trouble which breaks into the lives of men. Not that he directly and arbitrarily orders every unpleasant experience of life. Not that he is personally responsible for every painful and afflicting thing which comes into the lives of his people. But no trouble is ever turned loose in this world and comes into the life of saint or sinner, but comes from divine permission and is allowed to exist and do its painful work with God's hand in it or on it, carrying out his gracious designs of redemption. All things are under divine control. Trouble is neither above God nor beyond his control. It is not something in life independent of God, no matter from what source it springs, nor whence it arises. God is sufficiently wise and able to lay his hand upon it without assuming responsibility for its origin and work it into his plans and purposes concerning the highest welfare of his saints. This is the explanation of that gracious statement in Romans, so often quoted, but the depth of whose meanings have rarely been sounded. Quote, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God," unquote. Even the evils brought about by the forces of nature are his servants, carrying out his will and fulfilling his designs. God even claims the locust, the earthworm, the caterpillar are his servants. My great army, used by him to correct his people and discipline them. Trouble belongs to the disciplinary part of the moral government of God. This is a life of probation, where the human race is on probation. It is a season of trial. Trouble is not penuel in its nature. It belongs to what the Scriptures call chastening. Whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourges every son whom he receiveth. Speaking accurately, punishment does not belong to this life. Punishment for sin will take place in the next world. God's dealing with people in this world are of the nature of discipline. They are corrective processes in his plans concerning men. It is because of this that prayer comes in when trouble arises. Prayer belongs to the discipline of life. As trouble is not sinful in itself, neither is it the evidence of sin. Good and bad alike experience trouble. As the rain falls alike on the just and unjust, so drought likewise comes to the righteous and the wicked. Trouble is no evidence whatever of the divine displeasure. Scriptural instances without number disapprove any such idea. Job is a case in point, where God bore explicit testimony to his great and deep piety. And yet God permitted Satan to afflict him beyond all other men for wise and beneficial purposes. Trouble has no power in itself to interfere with the relations of a saint to God. Quote, who shall separate us from the love of God? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? Unquote. 3 words, practically the same, in the process of divine discipline are found: temptation, trial, and trouble. And that there is a difference between them. Temptation is really a solicitation to evil arising from the devil or born in the carnal nature of man. Trial is testing. It is that which proves us, tests us, and makes us stronger and better when we submit to the trial and work together with God in it. Quote, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into temptation, knowing this, the trying of faith worketh patience. Peter speaks along the same line. Quote, wherein ye greatly rejoice, now for a season, if need be, ye are in heaviness through manifold temptations, that the trial of your faith be of much more patience than that of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. The 3rd word is trouble itself, which covers all the painful, sorrowing, and grievous events of life. And yet temptations and trials might really become troubles, so that all evil days in life might well be classed under the head of the, quote, time of trouble, unquote. And such days of trouble are the lot of all men. Enough to know that trouble, no matter from what source it comes, becomes in God's hand his own agent to accomplish his gracious work concerning those who submit patiently to him, who recognize him in prayer, and who work together with God. Let us settle down at once to the idea that trouble arises not by chance, and neither occurs by what men call accident. Quote, although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doth trouble spring out of the ground, yet man is born unto trouble as the sparks fly upward, unquote. Trouble naturally belongs to God's moral government and is one of his invaluable agents in governing the world. When we realize this, we can the better understand much that is recorded in the Scripture and can have a clear conception of God's dealing with his ancient Israel. In God's dealing with them, we find that it is called a history of divine providence. And providence always embraces trouble. No one can understand the story of Joseph and his old father Jacob unless he takes into the account trouble and its varied offices. God takes account of trouble when he urges his prophet Isaiah on this wise. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned. There is a distinct note of comfort in the gospel for the praying saints of the Lord, and he is a wise scribe in divine things, who knows how to minister this comfort to the broken-hearted and sad ones of earth. Jesus himself said to his sad disciples, I will not leave you comfortless. All the foregoing has been said that we may rightly appreciate the relationship of prayer and trouble. in the time of trouble, where does prayer come in? The psalmists tell us, "Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me." Prayer is the most appropriate thing for a soul to do in the time of trouble. Prayer recognizes God in the day of trouble. It is the Lord. Let him do what seemeth good. Prayer sees God's hand in trouble and prays about it. Nothing more truly shows us our helplessness than when trouble comes. It brings the strong man low. It discloses our weakness. It brings a sense of helplessness. Blessed is he who knows how to turn to God in the time of trouble. If trouble is of the Lord, then the most natural thing to do is to carry the trouble to the Lord and seek grace and patience and submission. It is the time to inquire in the trouble. Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? How natural and reasonable for the soul, oppressed, broken, and bruised, to bow low at the footstool of mercy and seek the face of God. How could a soul in trouble more likely find a solace than in the closet? Alas, trouble does not always drive men to God in prayer. Sad is the case of him who, when trouble bends our spirit down and grieves his heart, yet knows not whence the trouble comes, nor knows how to pray about it. Blessed is the man who is driven by trouble to his knees in prayer. Trials must and will befall, but with humble faith to see love inscribed upon them all. This is happiness to me. Trials make the promise sweet. Trials give new life to prayer. Bring me to my Savior's feet. Lay me low and keep me there. Prayer in the time of trouble brings comfort, help, hope, and blessing, which, while not removing the trouble, enables the saint the better to bear it and to submit to the will of God. Prayer opens the eyes to see God's hand in trouble. Prayer does not interpret God's providences, but it does justify them and recognize God in them. Prayer enables us to see wise ends in trouble. Prayer in trouble drives us away from unbelief, saves us from doubt, and delivers from all vain and foolish questionings because of our painful experiences. Let us not lose sight of the tribute paid to Job when all his troubles came to the climaxing point. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Alas, for vain, ignorant men, without faith in God, and knowing nothing of God's disciplinary processes in dealing with men, who charge God foolishly when troubles come, and who are tempted to curse God. How silly and vain are the complainings and murmurings and the rebellions of men in the time of trouble. What need to read again the story of the children of Israel in the wilderness, and how useless is all our fretting, our worrying over troubles, as if such unhappy doings on our part could change us. And which of you, with taking thought, can add to a statue one cubit? How much wiser, how much better, how much easier to bear life's trouble when we take everything to God in prayer. Trouble has wise ends for the praying ones, and these find it so. Happy is he who, like the psalmist, finds that his troubles have been blessings in disguise. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I may learn thy statutes. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. But who could bear life's stormy doom? Did not thy wing of love come brightly wafering through the gloom, our peace branch from above? Thence all touched by thee glows bright with more than rapture's ray, as darkness shows us worlds of light we never saw by day. Of course, it may be concealed that some troubles are really imaginary. Of course, it may be conceded that some troubles are really imaginary. They have no existence other than in the mind. Some are anticipated troubles which never arrive at our door. Others are past troubles, and there is much folly in worrying over them. Present troubles are the ones requiring attention and demanding prayer. Quote, significant unto the day is the evil thereof, unquote. Some troubles are self-originated. We are their authors. Some of these originate involuntarily with us. Some arise from our ignorance. Some come from our carelessness. All this can be readily omitted without breaking the force of the statement that they are the subject of prayer and should drive us to prayer. What father casts off his child who cries to him when the little one, from its own carelessness, has stumbled and fallen and hurt itself? Does not the cry of the child attract the ears of the father, even though the child be to blame for the accident? Whatsoever things ye desire, take in every event of life, even though we are responsible for some events. Some troubles are human in origin. They arise from second causes. They originate with others, and we are the sufferers. This is a world where often innocents suffer the consequences of the acts of others. This is a part of life's incidents. Who has not at some time suffered at the hands of others? But even these are allowed to come in the order of God's providences, are permitted to break into our lives for beneficiary ends, and may be prayed over. Why should we not carry our hurts, our wrongs, our privation, caused by the acts of others, to God in prayer? Are such things outside of the realm of prayer? Are they exceptions to the rule of prayer? Not at all. And God can and will lay his hand upon all such events in answer to prayer and cause them to work for us, quote, a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, unquote. Nearly all of Paul's troubles arose from wicked and unreasonable men. Read the story as he gives it in 2 Corinthians 11:23-33. See also some troubles are directly of satanic origin. Quite all of Job's troubles are the offspring of the devil's scheme to break down Job's integrity, to make him charge God foolishly, and to curse God. But are these not to be recognized in prayer? Are they to be excluded from God's disciplinary processes? Job did not do so. Hear him in those familiar words, quote, the Lord gave and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord, unquote. Oh, what a comfort to see God in all of life's events. What a relief to a broken, sorrowing heart to see God's hand in sorrow. What a source of relief is prayer in unburdening the heart in grief. O thou who driest the mourner's tear, how dark this world would be if when deceived and wounded here, we could not fly to thee. The friends who in our sunshine live, when winter comes, are flown, and he who has but tears to give must weep those tears alone. But thou wilt heal the broken heart, which, like the plants that throw the fragrance from the wounded part, breathes sweetness out of woe. But when we survey all the sources from which trouble comes, it all resolves itself into two invaluable truths. First, that our troubles at last are of the Lord. They come from his consent. He is in all of them and is interested in us when they press and bruise us. And secondly, that our troubles, no matter what the cause, whether of ourselves or men or devils or even God himself, we are warranted in taking them to God in prayer, in praying over them, and in seeking to get the greatest spiritual benefits out of them. Prayer in the time of trouble tends to bring the spirit into perfect subjection to the will of God, to cause the will to be conformed to God's will, and saves from all murmurings over our lot, and delivers from everything like a rebellious heart or a spirit critical of the Lord. Prayer sanctifies trouble to our highest good. Prayer so prepares the heart that it softens under the disciplining hand of God. Prayer places us where God can bring to us the greatest good, spiritual and eternal. Prayer allows God to freely work with us and in us in the day of trouble. Prayer removes everything in the way of trouble, brings to us the sweetest, the highest, and greatest good. Prayer permits God's servants trouble to accomplish its mission in us, with us, and for us. The end of trouble is always good in the mind of God. If trouble fails in its mission, it is either because of prayerlessness or unbelief, or both. Being in harmony with God in the dispersed dispensation of his providence always makes trouble a blessing. The good or evil of trouble is always determined by the spirit in which it is received. Trouble proves a blessing or a curse, just according as it is received and treated by us. It either softens or hardens us. It either draws us to prayer or to God, or it drives us from God and from the closet. Trouble hardened Pharaoh, till finally it had no effect on him, only to make him more desperate and to drive him further from God. The same sun softens the wax and hardens the clay. The same sun melts the ice and drives out the moisture from the earth. As in the infinite variety of trouble, so also is there infinite variety in the relation of prayer to other things. How many are the things which are the subject of prayer? It has to do with everything which concerns us, with everything with whom we have to do, and has to do with all times. But especially does prayer have to do with trouble. Quote, this poor man cried, and the Lord heard him, and saved him out of all his troubles, unquote. Oh, the blessedness, the help, the comfort of prayer in the day of trouble, and how marvelous the promises of God to us in time of trouble. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. How sweet in it, how rich in its sweetness, how far-reaching in the realm of trouble, and how cherishing to faith are the words of promise that God delivers to his believing praying ones by the mouth of Isaiah. But now, thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. When thou passest over the waters, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. And when thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle again upon thee. For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior.